right, race fans, we are back. All three of us again. How about that? 2 shows in a row, all three of us. I'm Ryan Aho. That is the one and only Puka. How you doing, buddy?
Awesome. Now, look at this. One of your old sponsors here, Tom and Jerry's Bar, Chisholm,
I love
Minnesota.
it, guys. Tom and Jerry's Bar up in Chisholm. They sponsored me for years, so people are going, Chisholm? Where the heck is Chisholm? Just jump online, watch the movie Field of Dreams, Doc Moonlight Graham, Chisholm, Minnesota. Right. You know, and of course, that's where Puka's from, too. So, I mean, the place is just amazing, right? So, Puka, glad to have you on here. And we got the one and only Bert Lehman. Bert, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing tonight?
Doing awesome. I see you got your Scotty shirt on there, huh?
Yes, I do. Even though we had a lot of Wisconsin or a lot of Eastern Wisconsin drivers in the last episode.
Yeah, I should have had a Minnesota shirt on or something, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. So, hey, let's get after it. We talked about the top 10, or not the top 10, I guess the 25th through 16th in the last episode. You guys saw that yesterday. And now we are going to break down 15th up to 6th, okay? And this is the inaugural, we'll call it, one to go show. Regional late model power rankings is what we're doing. So before we get into that, Puka, you know, I know that you do such a great job with it. We have sponsors we want to thank. Who do you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I just want to thank all the fine folks down in Wisconsin at Weir's Machine, Chad and all the fellas. They've been with us, you know, basically from the start, from where we really got going on finding some partners. So you see their logo here on the screen. So just want to wish everyone at Weir's a Merry Christmas. You kind of know what Weir's is all about, weirsmachine.com. Go ahead and check them out when you get a chance, and they'll take good care of you.
Thanks a lot for that. I can't even talk. See, here I'm talking. We're hosting a show. I can't even talk. So anybody can do this. But thanks a lot for mentioning them. I mean, it's an important part of this deal. So let's get to it. 15 down to 6. We are going to start with number 15. I talked about Dan Ebert, right? Having a limited body of work. A very limited body of work for this guy. He has his reasons, all right? Guys, 5 shows. Only 5 shows for this guy. And people are wondering, how the heck can a guy with 5 shows be in the top 15? How does that even work, right? He lives in Canada, has a hard time getting across the border. They don't race as much. 4 second-place finishes and 1 win, okay? Now, people are like, yeah, that's cool, but that's his last second-place finish was at the Prelude to the Johnny. His win was for the 2nd year in a row, winning the John Seitz Memorial at the River City Speedway in Grand Forks. Man, guys, that was flat out impressive. Now, we're talking about a driver from Estevan, Saskatchewan, so kind of not so much by here, right? It's like Canada, way west, right? And it's the 21 of Turbo, Aaron Turnbull.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, very limited number of shows, and you know, people may say, like you said, why only 5 shows and he's on the list? But the big race, the John Seitz Memorial, that's one of the biggest races in all the regions that we cover, and to win that for the 2nd time in a row, with the limited number of shows that he had, you know, it's not like he was racing all year and then he fine-tuned everything and won the race. I mean, and the challenge he had to cross the border just to get to that race, that's what really amazes me.
Yeah, I mean, totally impressive. You know, he's like the intimidator of River City Speedway now. Like I said, limited body of work, but I mean, he did what he had to do to not only get across the border, but he did what he had to do to win a huge race. Like Ryan said, 2 in a row, very impressive. Congratulations, Aaron, on a limited but great season here in 2020.
You know what worries me is Brad Singh, right? They own a trucking company, you know, and if Brad wanted to, he could go up to the border, all the borders across there and say, look, you know, this guy here is not legit. We probably should maybe look at not letting him cross the border, you know, so when the Seitz comes around, kind of keep him up north. That might be the only way to keep him from winning his 3rd straight John Seitz Memorial next year. Hell of a year to him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him race a whole lot more next year. Now, let's get to number 14. 20 shows for this guy. 1 win. Guys, 15 top 5s, right? 75% top 5 percentage. He got 7th up at the John Seitz Memorial. 4th at the Dakota Rumble, okay? 4th at the King of Dirt, 3rd at the Big Buck Nationals at the Brown County Speedway in Aberdeen. Guys, he ran in 3 different regions, didn't quite get podiums in all 3, but ran very well in all 3 regions that he raced in. He very, very well. Now, this guy's a rookie, and he got a late start. So not only was he a rookie, but he didn't start right away. He started only a week or 2 before the Rumble. And at the end of the year, the eye test tells me he might have been the fastest driver in the state of South Dakota at the end of the 2020 season. I am expecting some big things from this guy from Huron, South Dakota, the 10 of Cole Searing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, 15 top 5s as a rookie. I mean, there's guys who have been racing for 15 years that we'd be happy with, 15 top 5. So that's what really stuck out to me. Very impressive. Congratulations on a great year, Cole.
Yeah, and that's what impresses me too, is the 15 top 5s and 20 shows. I mean, sometimes for a rookie in the late model division, it takes time to adjust, and sometimes those early finishes aren't as good, but obviously that wasn't the case with Cole Searing. Great year.
Absolutely. Now let's roll into number 13. I'm probably going to get in trouble for this one. Again, if you don't like where this guy's slotted, it's Pooka, Puka. Get a hold of him, blame him. And with a full season, guys, had he raced a full season, I think he could easily be up in the top 5. I mean, this guy is straight up legit. He either got 2nd or 3rd in the Wissota national standings in 19. One hell of a race car driver. Now, an astonishing 6 of 6. He only ran 6 shows, but he won all 6 shows, right? And not only did he win all 6, but 3 of those shows that he won, Turnbull got 2nd, right? So they didn't have a ton of cars because you can't cross the border. There was no big specials. But when you go 6 for 6, I mean, some people might argue he should be higher than this, right? But with only 6 shows, they were all regular shows. He did get across the border to come watch the John Seitz Memorial, but he was not able to bring his car. I wish he would have, because had he maybe been there, that might have moved him up a few slots, right? And this driver right here from Winnipeg, Manitoba, the 5E of Shane Edgington.
Yeah, I mean, again, a limited number of shows, but when you win every race that you enter, it's hard not to be on the list, and it's a worthy spot for him.
Yeah, I would say Shane Eddington making racing great again in Canada. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a hockey guy, so you get excited when you see the hockey country up there, right?
Oh, totally.
Like performing well and racing. You're a hockey guy. So great year for him. And like I said, some people could easily argue that he could be a top 5 guy winning 6 of 6, but just when you look at the overall strength of schedule on that deal, it kind of kept him down. Not his fault. It is what it is. COVID sucks. We all agree with that. But we're looking forward to some big things. I predict him to be a top 3 finisher at the end of 2021 in the Wissota National Standings. I see him being up there. Now, we're going to get into number 12. Another guy here that we could easily argue it could probably maybe been a little higher, right? But this is where it really started getting tough. From going from 12th up, up into the top 3 there. Oh man, there's not a lot of room for not much margin for error, right? So it's really tough. A lot of weighing, like whose wins were better, whose strength of schedule, podium finishes. Very difficult, but I think we got to crack down again. If you don't like what we have, get a hold of Puka. Now, number 12 in the power rankings, 19 shows, 5 wins, 16 top 5s. Now, that's not counting the 2 Woo shows that he ran, but out of all the Wissota type events, 16 top 5s in 19 shows. Very, very impressive. 84% top 5 percentage. Second in the NLRA points. Second in points at the River City Speedway. 3 NLRA, I believe it was 3 NLRA feature wins on the year. And really what held him back for me, guys, was a 9th and an 8th at the John Seitz Memorial on his home turf. I expected more from him at home. Had he performed better on that stage, I think he would have been higher in our rankings. From Grand Forks, North Dakota, the 12S of Brad Sang.
Yeah, I mean, a solid year. I mean, like I said, second in points in NLRA, second in points at River Cities, but that 84% top 5 ranking was the best of anybody in the top 25. So, very consistent, very good year.
And I agree. I mean, it's the 16 top 5s that really impresses me. And it wasn't just the top 5s. I mean, he backed it up with some wins also. So, very solid.
Yeah, great year for Brad. I mean, he's a perennial front runner, podium finish after podium finish. And again, people are going to be like, wow, with that percentage, and, with wins and second in the NLRA, how could he not be higher? And I'm just going to be straight up. The reason he wasn't higher is the only real big show he ran all year, right, was the John Seitz Memorial on his home track. And there's variables, things happen, but he failed to finish in the top 5 either night. And for me, that kind of slid him back just a little bit because we want our top performers to perform well on the biggest stage. So Brad, I expect to see you in the top 5 next year, buddy. All right. So let's get to number 11. Number 11, guys. This one here is going to get me in trouble. So here's the deal. Again, Puka, blame Puka. Okay, but this guy right here, he's the highest rated driver in all of this, right? With only 1 win. Okay. So out of all the people that have 1 win, he's ranked number 1 in that group of people. And looking at the strengths of schedule for this guy, easily the toughest strength of schedule. Anywhere there was a big show in the region, you saw this car unload every single time. He did never one time did he shy away from competition. And had he had some more wins, I guarantee he'd be higher up there. Now, he has several Woo shows in the mix, taking that out of the equation because he's kind of cutting his teeth there, right? 35 Wissota type events, right? Because he had some Cedar Lake stuff in there. And 18 top 5s, 51%. Now, keep in mind, his strength of schedule is higher, so it's pretty impressive. 1 win on the year. This gentleman, the TriStar Engines and Transmissions Labor Day Series winner, up on our neck of the woods there, Puka. At the ABC Raceway, they had the Prelude to the Clay, 12th to 1st. He drove by Jimmy Mars off the last corner to win that one. 4th at the Wissota Classic. 6th and 3rd at the Labor Day Shootout. 2nd at the King of Dirt. I think he started 8th there, so he drove up into the podium. 3rd at Ogilvie at that big special, great race. If you guys miss that, between him, Pat Dorr, Don Shaw, great race at Ogilvie. 4th and 5th at the John Seitz Memorial, and I believe he started 23rd or 24th in the feature. Guys, he drove up. He was inside a turbo for the lead at this deal, and the track got a little faster. He faded a little bit at the end. 4th and 5th at the Twin 25s. 4th and 6th at the Masters. So what you're seeing is solid in the top 5, okay? It needs more podiums, needs more podium finishes, needs more wins. Top 5s in all 4 regions raced. That's impressive, right? More podiums, more wins, easily catapults him up there. I'm expecting that from him next year. From Countin, Minnesota, the 6M Jeffrey Massengill.
You want me to go, Bert?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So total solid year. Now, what the one thing that sticks out for me is Jeffrey's been racing at the USA Nationals, since he's been at Late Model. He's been coming down. He's never shied away. This year, he was in a position right away in a B feature, because I don't think he's made the big show. He's always, he's run well in the Wissota, we'll call it the Wissota portion, NASCAR portion. But, to get it into the big show, and he comes in on the first lap there, it comes into 3, drops a drive shaft, goes to hit the gas to turn the car. Obviously doesn't, smashes the wall, collects Bab. Really thinking that this was the year he was going to get into the big one. He's paid his dues. He's been down there. He's been very loyal to Cedar Lake. Just couldn't quite get it done. But, yeah, super solid year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a solid year, and I agree with you, Ryan. More podium finishes and a few more wins would move him up the list. He definitely was on my radar this year after seeing him race this year. I wasn't real familiar with him prior to this year. And he's definitely a driver that I will be paying attention to in the future, based on what he did this year. I think he could just be on the cusp of some really, really good finishes in the future.
A lot of people might say this dude is flat out crazy. right? Because he was legitimately a top 5 runner everywhere, right? With his kryptonite car in 2020. Now he's making a change, right? Because his primary sponsor, J.R. Haley, they got, I don't think anything, it's called the Weiss Haley chassis. He's making the change. They're going to be jumping into that deal. And I said, you better make sure that that thing's faster because you were really good last year. So I'm hoping, and they're confident, they think that's going to be a step up. And that one little adjustment might take them from a bunch of top 5s to a bunch of top 3s and a bunch more wins. And that'll put them up in top 5 region for next year. So great years for Jeffrey Massengill. Now let's get into the top 10, right? Number 10 on the year, another guy that he just didn't race as much as we would have liked to have seen, but man, when he did, he was good. 20 shows, 2 wins on the year, 16 top 5s, 80% in the top 5, right? Now, he went to the Prelude to the Johnny. He got 5th. And for, I believe, the 10th consecutive year, he was on the podium in the John Seitz Memorial. He got 2nd. Started pretty deep in that one, too. 2nd at the Mater 55. 3rd and 2nd at the USA Nationals at the Cedar Lake Speedway. He won the Fall Frenzy at the Cedar Lake Speedway. And we're talking about a driver from Elk Mound, Wisconsin, the 58 of A.J. Nemo.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the season, we didn't think that he was having that great of a year. But then you look at, I mean, because he wasn't putting the wins on like he has in the past. But you look at his podium finishes in the big specials throughout the area, and definitely a solid season. I mean, when you finish 80% in the top 5 in the big, that includes a lot of the big races with tough competition, very good season for AJ.
Yeah, I agree. Good season. Disappointed he didn't come up for the swing up to the Prelude in Ashland and came over to, for the Labor Day swing. So like I said, only 20 shows. Of course, Red Cedar wasn't racing. I don't know how many times he races there, but, no challenge series. So he got in fewer shows. Hopefully, I mean, this is a guy that 15 years ago, before he joined Mars was kind of, heading towards that kind of that professional race guy. I mean, I remember him doing the Summer Nationals in like 06, 07. He was a young guy. So, a guy that I enjoy watching. So selfishly, I hope he races more, but, like I said, again, a solid year. And like I said, he's kept that streak alive up at the John Seitz up at River Cities and Grand Forks, which is very impressive.
Very talented driver, another double duty guy. He ran mods also, and he was equally as impressive in the modified as he was in the late model. So great year there for AJ Nemo at number 10. Now let's get to number 9. Number 9, 26 shows on the year, 7 wins, 16 top 5s. 7 wins as a rookie, right? 7 wins as a rookie. That's impressive. Also, this rookie made the trip over to Cedar Lake, finished top 5, pair of 5ths at the USA Nationals, and that got him on the radar for a lot of people in the region that watch late model racing. Very impressive to do that. 5th at the Big Buck Nationals over in Aberdeen. He got 3rd at the Miller Central Speedway. They had a $2,000 to win show. He got 3rd at that deal. 61% in the top 5. From Huron, South Dakota, the 5M, Tyler McDonald.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know who Tyler McDonald was. And then, me and Bert are sitting there at the USA Nationals, and here he comes. And on that Friday night, led roughly half Bert, I'd say, that feature. And like I said, I mean, if you didn't know who Tyler McDonald was, you know him now. He kind of made his name at the Nationals. You think about drivers, like Bert was just saying about Jeffrey Massengill, and he's a guy that I kind of pay attention to. I'm saying the same thing kind of like about Michelson now and Schill now, who they, there gets to be a time when they kind of get on your radar and your map a little bit. And I think that Tyler McDonald's on a lot of people's radars now and will be heading into 2021.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I also agree that, the USA Nationals was kind of his, when he was put on the radar, because, I remember watching that race and Puka and I were, who is this guy? And very impressive at Cedar Lake. And it wasn't just a fluke at Cedar Lake. He had a very impressive all season.
Yeah, and really what kept him out of being higher is just simply not running enough big shows. He got 7 wins. Most of them were regular nights. And interesting guy. They're probably smarter than most of us racers, right? but his passion is farming, which is business. His focus is on like, hey, we want to be successful, we want to create a future, we want to make money. So that caused him to miss some of the shows that, as a fan, I would have liked to see him at. He wasn't at the Dakota Rumble, which is his biggest show in the area, but it was because of work. It was because of farming. So I guess you can't blame a guy for having the priorities, maybe a little bit different, right? I always say that he's got his priorities all mixed up. If you want to win races, you got to focus on racing. Business comes second, but that's why I was flat broke when I quit. Okay, so maybe he's smarter than I am. But great year, Tyler McDonald, solid up into the top 10. There was a time when we jotted him down where we had him just placed a little bit higher, but after looking at some things, I think slotting him in there at number 9 is pretty good for the 5M ride. So let's get to number 8, okay? Because the cream rises to the top, and you just look. I mean, some of these guys had impressive seasons. I'm talking, it was crazy. So this one here is one of those guys. 23 shows, 4 wins, 12 top 5s on the year. Twin 25s. He got 9th in one of the events, but he was winner of one of the Twin 25s. He won the Race to Be Essential, the opener down at Mississippi Thunder. They had a pretty good car count. He won that. First at Cedar Lake Speedway, the Month of Money, right? That $5,000 to win show, he won that. Second by about, I don't know, that far when Glenn's kind of stole his thunder there at the USA Nationals. First, third, and second at the Legendary. Podium all 3 nights in a row. Third at the Fall Frenzy. Second at the Ogilvy Fall Classic. Guys, the end of the year in our region is all invitationals. It's all specials. The last 5 shows for this guy, all podium finishes. Impressive season for this guy. Only 23 years old and not a huge budget. He missed our swing just like AJ did, but he walled a car at Mississippi Thunder. The year before, he missed a swing up north because of an engine issue. This year, he wrecked it because he was on the jig welding it up, which sucked for us because I really wanted to see him come up there. But bright future. Coming in at number 8 from Roberts, Wisconsin, the 11G Nitro, James Giassi.
Yeah, I mean, actually, he'd probably be higher on the list if it wasn't for Jesse Glenn's, because Glenn, like you said, Glenn stole his thunder in some of the races, passing him late in the race. But yeah, solid. I mean, you always want to shine come invitational time, and he definitely was shining with, all podium finishes in his last 5 finishes. So solid year for Giassi.
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind in Giassi's year when I was down at the Gondik Law for the World of Outlaws show, and he shows up, and he doesn't, he's not a regular at Superior, so he shows up with a Wazota engine, actually set past time, with a guy like Bishop in the field and a guy like Ricky Weiss in the field. So, that was impressive too. I think he surprised a lot of people and gained some fans up here in the Northland. So congratulations, Mr. Giassi, on a fantastic 2020.
Yeah, I'm super excited to watch this guy grow as a race car driver. Very talented, very humble kid, fun to watch. And, just another one of those examples that late model racing is on the rise. There's a lot of young studs in this class. Now, coming in at number 7, 20 shows on the year, 4 wins, 16 top 5s. Guys, that's 80% in the top 5, right? Impressive for this year. Absolutely not unexpected. The Brown County Speedway track champion over in Aberdeen. He won the $2,000 to win show at the Brown County Speedway. He won the $2,000 to win show at the Miller Central Speedway. And then miraculously, he didn't even show up to the $2,000 to win show in Casino. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? He's like, I'm just kind of not really feeling like racing on Sunday, but he's got a ton of shows and a ton of wins in his career. 4th at the Big Muck Nationals. A disappointing 10th at the Dakota Rumble. He was up battling. I think he slipped off the track, and I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I expected more from him on that race. He'd certainly probably be up a couple spots higher if he would have performed better there. From Aberdeen, South Dakota, we're talking about the 9 of Showtime, Kent Arment.
Yes, Showtime. Yes, that's an old nickname for back in the days when I was writing it for All the Dirt back 20 years ago. The thing that stuck out for him this year was, I believe it was at the Rumble. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was regular, but they did the duel with him and Kurt Gelling. And, those two battled in mods for many years. Those two battled in lates. rivals, but I just thought that was such a cool deal. I can't remember which of the two won because I was just watching them go and high, low, slide jobs. And then once someone got out in front a little bit, but just a cool deal. We talked about him, one of the few guys in Wazota running a Longhorn, and obviously he's got that then dialed in and had a real successful year.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like this guy's been around forever. I mean, he was running up front when Shawano Speedway was still in Waukegan, because I remember reading about him in all the dirt and looking at the late model national point standings, and he'd always be, battling for the top. And apparently, as he gets older, he just keeps on clicking away, and very good season. Nothing to complain about there.
Yeah, I think he's a 5-time national champion. I believe it's either 5 or 6. But between the mods and the lates, I think there was 1 year where he won both the mods and the lates. So I think there might be one guy that's close, but I think he's got to be the winningest driver ever in the state of South Dakota. So coming in at number 7, Countin Mint. Now, coming in at number 6, we'll conclude this show with number 6, and then we're excited to get into the top 5. This gentleman here, 26 shows on the year, guys, 8 wins. All right, 8 wins. Impressive season. This guy is flat out bolted. 16 top 5s. Now, he won the Big Buck Nationals. He won at the Casino Speedway. Arment didn't show up that night, right? He won that $2,000 to win show that night, and them guys put on a race when they're together. He won both nights of the Autumn Classic over at the Casino Speedway in Watertown, and 61% of the time up in the top 5. And I like to say this guy is flat out checkers or wreckers, right? And that's really what kept him out of, the top 5 for me, is the fact that, dude, you got to finish more races. And I think he would agree to that, right? So, I mean, like, opportune times, guys, he was battling for the win at the Dakota Rumble. And I think he overheated or something happened. He had engine issues. He had all kinds of engine issues. And I don't know if they were all the engine builder's fault, but he had all kinds of issues where he was right up in the top 3 and broke. And I think them kind of kept him out of there. Had those DNFs not happened, he could legit be looking at the number 1 slot. Like, this guy, it's a very, very tight group here between, say, 1st and 6th, 7th. I mean, it is very tight. And it was very difficult for us to look at that. So you South Dakota people that are a big fan of this guy, he's there. He's up. He's close, but we just need more finishes from this guy. And we're talking about the driver from Watertown, South Dakota, the 37, the wild child, Scott Ward.
Well, this is one of the things that I'm glad that I started doing this podcast with you guys, because I wasn't familiar at all with these South Dakota late model drivers. And I got a chance to watch some of the races online this year. And so I was specifically watching for Scott Ward because you guys kept talking about him. And as soon as I saw him race, I understand why you guys are always talking about him. Yeah, he's definitely, obviously 8 wins shows that, he's one of the top drivers in the region. So a lot of solid big race wins. So, a very fitting place for him on this list.
Yeah. What stuck out for me for Scott Ward was, we don't get a lot of locals that get voted in. I mean, local, he's not local necessarily to Cedar Lake in the USA Nationals, but he's local for us. And, he got voted in for that Fans Fund deal this year, which was really cool. And got walked out of there. I think, what was it? Burned everyone about a $2,500 check. That's normally what it is. So, a chance for him to come over and race a couple nights over there. And I don't believe I've ever seen him at Cedar Lake before. So like I said, yeah, you're sitting around drinking beers at the Deer Shack this weekend or in your ice fishing house, and somebody doesn't know anything about racing says, how was your year? And he replies, hey, I had 8 wins. I think that person's going to think, a pretty damn good year.
Yeah. And really, if I look back at what kept him out of the top 5, because I know I'm going to have people ask, why is he not in the top 5? I mean, he was impressive. And it's kind of one of those deals where when a person leaves his home state, it's like, man, is that a good thing? And I think when he left his home state, that actually brought him down in the rankings, because in South Dakota at all the specials, it didn't matter what the show was, he was bolted. He got out of South Dakota and he couldn't get it together. And I don't know if there was engine issues or DNFs or just a combination of everything, but all the times that he left, whether it was to Minnesota, North Dakota, over to Cedar Lake and Wisconsin, I just didn't see enough from him. He just did not have a marquee like, hey, he left his home area and ran really well, and I expect him to. And he's a hell of a fun driver to watch race, and there's a huge following for him in Watertown. So coming in at number 6, the Wild Child Scott Ward, and that concludes, right? That gets us. We're bringing in the top 5, guys. I am absolutely jazzed up to be talking about the top 5 coming up in our next episode. I'm Ryan. That's Puka. That's Bert. We're the One to Go show, and we're bringing to you the top 25 in the One to Go show regional late model power rankings. So, guys, buckle up. Top 5 coming next.